Most mid laners give their opponents a minion advantage or last hits for free by unconsciously standing in the wave, which allows our opponent to push the wave and trade at the same time, or get last hits while trading. To avoid this, you generally want to stand outside the wave, so that the opponent has to choose between last hitting and trading, but not do both. Here, Dope is playing Orianna against a challenger Xerath. By standing away from the wave, he doesn't allow the Xerath to hit him and last hit at the same time. When Xerath's Q is on cooldown, it's an easy opportunity to punish the cooldown by walking forward and taking a trade. Most of the time, you can't immediately punish the cooldown by blindly running forward when the opponent has spells in reserve. Instead, using the spell baiting concept from episode 1, Dopa baits a spell by entering Xerath's W range and then backs out to dodge it. Xerath now has no W, no Q, and there is a window to punish, so by going for this minion, Xerath will lose another 100 health. As early as 2 minutes in, this lane is completely doomed for Xerath, and it's not going to get any better. I want to emphasize that Dopa made this Xerath look like Iron Tier, not with flashy mechanics, but just by executing the fundamentals of spell baiting, cooldown punishing, and lane positioning. There are some exceptions where you want to stand in the wave, however. Firstly, in episode 5, I talked about standing in the wave to make the opponent push faster and prevent them from building a big minion wave. The other time is if you're playing against a champion whose skill shots are minion blockable, like Ahri, LeBlanc, Sylas, or Zoe. If you move out into the open to punish a cooldown and get spell baited, there's nothing to prevent a flash or a dash CC into a gank and losing all your pressure by either dying or getting chunked and being unable to contest the wave. Instead, you can punish by playing inside the wave, but just position away from the minions that are dying so that you're harder to hit and you don't give them last hits while harassing you. If they're really unhealthy, and so they'll lose the trade even if they hit you, then you can pressure the normal way by moving outside the wave to either chase or zone them. You mainly just have to be careful when their spells are up, and they're healthy enough to receive a gank, especially if it's common gank timing on your lane. If you're standing away from the wave, the side that you hover to matters a lot to make it quickly to jungle skirmishes and minimize the chance of getting ganked. If you don't know where the jungler is, you want to hover to your safe side, which is the warded side, or the side that your jungler is on if you don't have any wards. The number one mistake I see is putting down vision and hovering to the other side. When you do this, you're functionally playing unwarded. If you pay attention to this principle, it'll have a subtle but significant effect of dying less to ganks. So when your jungler is about to make an aggressive play, like contesting Crab or invading the enemy jungle, you don't want to be hovering on the opposite side of the lane because it will take you extra seconds to collapse. In this Platinum game, Zoe gets a minion advantage, but instead of immediately moving to cut Lux off, she continues playing on bot side while Kindred is invading, which is an astronomical grief play. This lets Lux get the first move to the jungle skirmish, despite Zoe having a huge minion and sustain advantage. If Lux managed to kill Kindred here, Zoe probably would have flamed Kindred for invading, even though it's completely Zoe's fault. Instead, you want to be hovering to your jungler's side, ready to push the minion wave into tower to get the first move and cut off any collapsing routes for your lane opponent. You have to be aware at all times of what your jungler is intending to do and be ready to back them up accordingly. So when you know where the enemy jungler is or could be, you usually want to hover away from their position, which will allow you to continue playing aggressively. In situations where the opponent cannot receive a gank due to their health, you can bait the gank by playing really aggressively to reveal the enemy jungler and waste their time. This will allow your jungler to get an advantage by invading, ganking, or counter-ganking, as well as allowing your other lanes to play more aggressively. While this doesn't give you an advantage personally, it can create a butterfly effect for your teammates. This seemingly insignificant play can significantly affect the game outcome. In this case, Kayn gets an uncontested dive in bot lane and can counter jungle the whole bot side. So there are two ways you normally want to stand on the wave, short side or mirrored. The short side has no minions between you, while the mirrored side has minions between you and the opponent. Playing to the short side says I'm trying to contest you. When you're even or you're not looking for trades, for example if your spells are on cooldown, you generally want to be in the mirrored position, which reduces their ability to force a trade by putting minions and distance between you and the opponent. In this example, if Ori were to trade on the mirrored side, she'd be in range of 5 minions and Azir would be able to take an advantageous extended trade with the minion advantage. However, if she were to trade on the short side, she'd be able to kite the melees and not take any damage from the ranged. Notice how as soon as Orianna tries to take a short side trade, Azir moves back towards the mirrored side to put range between them. When Orianna uses Q, this is Azir's opportunity to walk forward to cooldown punish, and then he backs off to continue playing for the minion advantage. Especially at early levels when auto attacks are involved, due to minion aggro, these micro positioning details really add up. Now when Azir gets level 2, Ori wants to put as much distance between them as possible and plays on the mirrored side. Outside of the elite level, most players tend to mirror their opponents subconsciously, and you can use this to your advantage by forcing them into a gank. Here, Orianna tries to force a trade on the left side to coax Azir to mirror his position on the right side, straight into Pantheon. Since this was World Finals and they knew Pantheon was missing, the gank didn't work out, but in solo queue, this works out extremely often, especially in the lower ranks. If you're in a position where you can win trades despite the minion aggro, and you can hover safely away from a jungle gank, you generally want to walk past the minion wave and completely zone the opponent from farming. In this example, Dopa saw Nidalee head to bottom side, so he has at least 30 seconds until Nidalee could be top side, to stand behind the minion wave and zone Vlad away with some potent trades. This is even more effective when the opponent's wave is pushing towards you, because you'll be able to walk past the wave and freeze it, and they'll be unable to get minions for several waves. Since zoning and taking an aggressive position feels really uncomfortable for most players, they often stand way too far back and let these opportunities pass by. You don't want to give your opponent the cannon minion for free when you have a significant health or resource advantage. In this particular example, it's better to move forward and zone the opponent while hovering to topside, since Lee Sin was spotted in bot lane 10 seconds ago. Every minion denied can be the difference between an opponent completing their item or not. Every micro positioning detail matters in mid lane. It matters whether you're standing in the wave or out of it. Every spell baited or minion denied due to a cooldown punish will eventually add up to create an unstoppable advantage. On the flip side, autopiloting the laning phase and not taking advantage of these opportunities is leaving a lot of value on the table. So thanks for watching, and if this video helps you out, give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.